Here's the cold, hard truth. No one is coming to save you, but you can. Growing up, I always was blaming other people, and like I was able to throw tantrums or pouts or get angry, and like I would get attention from it. So I just kept doing it. And I didn't realize that I was like doing it for attention because of my past programming or something that happened in my childhood or multiple things that happened in my childhood. And so this, continued throughout all of my life. So, like, I would yeah, like I said, like, I would as a kid, like, to get what I wanted, it was like I would say excuses, I would blame someone else, like, it wasn't my fault, it was always someone else, and then I would say, like, "Yeah, well, this happened to me because of blah, blah, blah," and, like, I always had some sort of excuse, and I did it out in work settings, I did it in relationships, I did it pretty much everything in my life, like school, pretty positive. Yeah, with my parents, like I'm pretty sure it was like everything. And it's like it wasn't until I started going for some personal development that I realized that, you know, I get to choose how I show up in life to with others and myself. So it's a choice. Like if I want something, I have to go after it instead of like making excuses or throwing a tantrum or being pouty to get attention. Heck, maybe this is why I was always seeking validation from other people because I wasn't keeping the responsibility on my end, as I'm responsible for me and no one's coming to save me. And like, I think it's a hard thing to break because it's my past programming. It's my limiting beliefs, and so it's like it's something that now that I after the personal development and I decided to choose responsibility, I wouldn't say it was like automatic, like boom, I understand that and I'm getting it. But over the like past like 5, 6 years, I'm starting to understand more and more what that responsibility means. And I'm not saying like you're gonna like know that you're gonna take responsibility for your life for everything in like one snap, or 1 year. Like this is an ongoing process because it can show up in sneaky ways. And I was finding that at work, like even my boss was telling me, he's like, you just make excuses. He's like, I'm just hearing excuses from you. I'm not hearing any solutions. And I was like, well, I don't want to do this because of blah, 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 and that. And so constantly found myself not, not looking at the positive or not looking at solution opportunities or how else can I change this because I don't like it? Or instead of going, well, it's not going to happen because this person, blah, 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 or they're not going to listen to me, instead of just going over to that person and be like, hey, like I see that we've had some misunderstanding. I thought blah blah blah, and like maybe that's my fault, but I just want to like reiterate, like I'm sorry, like I didn't mean to, snap at you or whatever it was, and be like, how can we communicate better? And then like try to learn what their communication styles, because I for the longest time was like, it's not my responsibility that someone doesn't understand me. And because I was always like, I just want to be seen and heard and validated. And I found that that was exhausting. And I think people were annoyed with me because I was always projecting that onto somebody else. Like it was their job to make me happy, or their job to um their job, to communicate it properly to me. Cause I was like, well, for the longest time, I looked at the communication part like, well, if someone else doesn't understand what I'm talking about, then it is my responsibility. Cause then I'm not explaining it in a way that they understand it. And that is my responsibility. I think for the longest time, I was like, well, God, I always feel like I'm micromanaging everybody and it's so frustrating and blah, 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 blah. And so I think I finally this was actually really recent that it, like, smacked me in the face because I was like, "Oh my god." It was like my boss had to say it first, and then I had to hear it from somebody else. Sometimes you have to hear it like 2 to 3 times for it to click, and for me, that's gonna take 2 to 3 times. So, yeah, my boss said something like, Well, like, well, because I was like, I'm tired of micromanaging everybody. I'm like, I'm tired of like, if I say or email somebody something, like, I kind of expect it to happen before I get in. And he was like, well, like, did you understand like your husband's communication style in the very beginning? And I was like, huh, that's a good point. And it was like, it was because he put it into my personal reality, and because I was so, like, out there, like, "Oh, it's their fault, not mine." I thought that was really interesting because I was like, "Oh, yeah." I'm like, I'm still trying to figure out, like, communication with my husband, because it's just, like, and my parents, and it's a learning thing. It's figuring out, like, what communication styles they work in, and maybe I can change the way I say things, or I can adjust. I wouldn't say change, like, I'll adjust the way I say things because it's kind of actually, like, kind of like the ability to be creative in, like, the way I communicate now, and so it's like and maybe what I'm starting to learn recently, I haven't fully put it as an into application, yet with somebody yet, but it's like if somebody says something to me, I can be like, "Hey, so what I hear is blah blah blah." So I'm gonna start doing that with people because I do find that like there's a lot of miscommunication out there, and it could be just like a simple like, "Oh, I thought you meant this instead of that," and said so if I'm like what's called it's like recreating what they said in a way that, like, I understand it, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, that's what I meant." Like, that way that they understand that I heard them, and therefore I will be heard as well. And so it's just I think it's so funny and powerful, but anyways, so it's just like now that I'm aware of that, I'm like, "Oh, huh, it is my responsibility to communicate things properly to people." And, it's okay if we're not perfect because it's just a learning thing. It's just something we have to learn that everyone else is. Everyone has different personalities. Everyone has different meanings in their life of what they think certain things mean or different ways they were brought up. So, like, one thing could mean one thing to somebody, and the same thing means something completely different to someone else. And then also there's like language barriers, like, if they're not fluent in English, that could also be a barrier. Like you mean one thing and they heard something else. And so it's just something like it's good to just like check in with people. And I was like, oh God. I was like, this is like light bulb moment, but it was funny because I was like, I know this, but it didn't like fully click until very recently. But yeah, so I still have to go like put this into practice. But I'm just letting you know, like this is something that was so huge for me. And I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I was taught this like 6 years ago, and I don't think it like hit home how powerful communication is. But yeah, anyways, so it's like so yeah, I grew up like in what's called victimhood. So it was like I was pouting to get what I want. I was, you know, yeah, I was like projecting onto other people, being like, well, I should be able to get that too, kind of thing. It's just like it's like an inner child thing needing attention. And so I think once I realized the responsibility part of like all of this, I was like, oh, like shoot, like it is my choice how I show up in the world. It's my choice every day if I'm either sad or happy that I get to choose those emotions. And yeah, like sometimes I get caught up in the middle of it and I'm like it's hard to get out, but it's like it's figuring out a way to how do I put myself back into a more positive state if I'm like angry or something and I'm like, ugh, I just need to like I'll go journal it out. So that's like one way I'll get it out. Or I'll go like do a meditation or take a walk around the block. Just because sometimes like you just need to step away and like think for a minute. Or if like or if an email triggers you or something and you're like about to like start railing on the person in the email. I know I've done that. It's just like it's allowing yourself to step away, give yourself a minute to calm down, take a few breaths, like do like breathe in 4 seconds, hold for like 5, and then like breathe out for 7 to 8, and then do this over and over for quite a while because it's like the breathing can help calm your nervous system, And once you're able to calm your nervous system, then you're able to think a little more clearly and not so elevated. And then also it's like if you go take a walk, it'll give your body a time to step out of that trigger zone and like be able to just like clear your mind for a minute. And yeah, you could be still railing, but like ruminating over what you want to say to that person. But sometimes it's good to just like get it out on paper and be like, this is what I really want to say to this person, and then let it go. And so, but that way you're not projecting it onto somebody else because it's not because if you're like nasty to somebody else, then it's gonna actually hurt them in a way unless they are very well trained in how to block that energy. And most of us are not trained in that. And so the best thing is to work on that energy so you're not coming out as attacking or negative. And this has been brought to my attention recently is that like, well, at work I'm like I'm always in my masculine. I don't want to be in my masculine, and I feel like I'm always having to like prove myself um or like yeah, because I feel like people don't believe me or listen to me, and so I'm always coming in hard and attacking. And so if I'm coming at hard with somebody else, obviously we're gonna like lock heads. Instead of me like taking a breath, allowing myself to calm down, because even just like a few breaths in the moment can calm yourself down. If you're strong enough to be like, know that you're triggered and take a few breaths, then before you say something, then that's great. But if not, then be like, hey, look, I need a minute, and then step away and be like, hey, like I just need a few minutes. I'll come back and we can finish this conversation. But sometimes in the moment, like it's really hard to do that. So it's just noticing and being aware when you're doing that. So yeah, but I mean, I know when we're triggered, it can be very tough. But yeah, for me, it's like journaling, meditation, even just like, even while I'm working, if I'm triggered or if I have anxiety, like I just listen to some sort of like sound bowls or, like 432 frequency or some uplifting music that where I can work like that has no words. Because for me, I'm an electrical engineer, so I got to like focus all the time, and it's like really hard if music with words is playing because then I want to sing it. So then I get distracted. But if there's music in the background that's uplifting, I like try to find it on YouTube or heck even Spotify and like listen to something where you can get out of your mind into your heart and into your body, and just like be able to relax and calm your nervous system. To go back to the story prior to me going into like a rant, um basically like for me being in that blaming or a lack of responsibility and not choosing the way I want, I found myself constantly being frustrated with life. I always thought life was unfair and judgmental, and I never truly took a look at myself and realized that I actually was also very judgmental, because what your outside world is like what happens in your outside world is actually is normally what's your inside world. So if your outside world feels like it's chaos, most likely your inner self is also feels like chaos. Like you feel like frazzled and overwhelmed all the time, because everything that you perceive it as is normally what's actually going on inside. But like for me now, I'm training myself to be more at peace with myself and my inner self, and working on my inner stuff so much that my outside world is actually like the normal reality is more calm, and I'm more content, and I'm not as reactive, if that's the right word. Yeah, reactive, and I'm not as judgmental, and I do catch myself if I am trying to be judgmental with somebody. I'm like, why am I judging this person? I don't even know either something about them, or there's something about them that whatever I'm judging them about is something that I am dealing with on the inside. So if I don't like somebody's outfit, then it's probably like there's something that I don't like about that inside. And so it's like, or if that person looks a certain way, or if they have a certain belief, then I'll catch myself sometimes and I'm like, why am I judging? Like I was just there. So it's like so it's just realizing that I'm not above anybody, and I am dealing with my own struggles and realities with like life. And so now the more I work on my inner self and calm my inner child, inner being, inner world, and work on my like shadows and my darkness, but accept them fully, then I find myself like living in peace and calm and content and I'm happy. And so it's like, it's just knowing to work on yourself. That's the biggest thing. And so when I was in feeling like life is unfair and life is judgmental and everyone's nasty and society sucks and I don't like my job, blah, blah, blah. When I was really negative, like I just found like I kept feeling more negative and I've kept feeling more, I guess like dis associating like things with like, well, that's always going to be negative or that's always going to be how my life is. Like it just I found myself going down like a negative path continuously and I couldn't get myself out of it. So once I really started working on the positivity part and actually knowing that the words I say in my head or out to somebody else is actually what I'm believing and therefore my brain is going to believe that. Hopefully that makes sense. But it's like, for me, I don't think I understood that. But everything I say to myself is actually what I believe. And so if I'm constantly beating myself up or criticizing myself, then I'm finding that like I find I do that a lot more often, or I find that I do to others. And so as soon as I start going, oh no, oh, crap, like, I don't like how that happened, but I'm not gonna beat myself up. Okay, what else could I change about that? Or what can I adjust about that? How can I shift my perspective about that or that person? Because the more I talk positive and the more I have, like, um, just joyful thoughts and vision like, envisioning my future and, like, realizing that I can have it and I deserve it and I'm worthy, then the more that I begin to believe that and I continue to believe in. It's a continuous process, but I find that, like, the more I talk positively to myself, the more I feel positive or the more I feel happy and joyful and content. And so, yeah, I just want you all to know, like, don't give up. Like, this is something that I've been working on for years. So, like, don't give up on yourself and don't beat yourself up. Like, give yourself grace and figure out ways that you can, like, create the happiness for yourself. Like, create an intention for the day. Like, write in a journal, like, hey, what's the intention I want for the day? Like, I want to, learn something from the day. Um, I want to be like calm and collected throughout the day. I want to bring joy and happiness to people. I want to um or I am like instead of I want to like I am because in the like if you're in like I am now like if you speak that as I am now then your body you will begin to believe it like you got to do it multiple times for your body to really go oh no I am powerful I am bold like you got to just like sit there and go like I am going to be this way I'm going to put it out there that I'm going to be powerful I am powerful and so it's just like it's just something you gotta work on. It could be affirmations are good. Like now I finally see like how amazing affirmations can be. Cause I'm like, for the longest time I was like, I don't know if I really believe the affirmations, but between like me meditating in the morning for like 15 to 30 minutes, more like 20 minutes. I do that as soon as I get up, I get like ready for the gym. Go sit down, meditate for like 18 minutes. Then I get up, then I go work out. So it's like I'm working on my mental state and my physical state. And then like I set an intention for the day, how I want my day to go, or how I am sane and projecting that my day is going to go like this. And it's crazy the last few days that I've been doing this and really believing it. Um things actually have been happening the way I could say it just because I created it in the world. And so yeah, it's so interesting to me. I just think for the longest time I didn't believe it until it's just started making shifts in my life, and then it's like somebody made, the idea of the intention. I don't think I had made intentions in the past, but I don't think I really believed it. And so now that I believe it and I believe that it can happen, like I know now that I'm like, oh, this actually works because it's like it's what we tell ourselves. And so hopefully this makes sense. I feel like I'm rambling, um, but yeah, I just want you all to know to keep going, like never give up. Like this is a ongoing process. I know this is going to be something I got to work on the rest of my life, and I'm actually happy about that because I'm actually finally happy where my life is going. And so it's just like it's realizing that it's a journey. It's not like I'm gonna get here and I'm gonna be done. Like it's just a journey, and then just to enjoy the process, enjoy the journey along the way. Because when you do that, you start to enjoy life more instead of going, "Oh, I need to get here by this time because I feel like society told us, or I feel like I have to." Once you start doing that, then it's like you're putting so much pressure on yourself, and you're beating yourself up, but like, oh, I didn't get to that again because I was doing that, which just wasn't working. And just like allowing yourself to sit back. We are only capable of doing so much in a day, but we also can accomplish a lot in a few hours. So if that's all you got, then be happy with that and be like, okay, what can I get done? Like sit down and block time. I need to start doing this and actually commit to the blocking time. So it's like sit and do something for an hour and then switch to another thing and do that for an hour or something, however long you want to do it for, or block out 3 hours and then do that. But it's like, it's just knowing that you can create however you want to do your life and just to enjoy the process along the way. Like it's, it's less stress when you do, and allow yourself to have like rest days or fun days or like go to the beach, just something where you get out for an hour or two, like go to a dance class, do something fun, whatever you think is fun, and just do that. And don't worry, because if you're trying to cram your everything into one day and you're never allowing your body to rest like I was, you will get burnt out and you will feel more stressed and more overwhelmed because you're never giving yourself a break. Sometimes when you give yourself a break, then you allow the creativity to flow, or you allow your body to calm down so you're not constantly in that stress, like fight or flight zone. So yeah, keep it up. Like you guys got this. I'm here for you. Let me know if I can help in any way. Like I'd love to hear in the comments below. Like what are you working on? What would you like? Where would you like to get to? Like, do you find yourself making excuses for things? And how do if you do you want to get out of that? Like, is there something like I would just love to chat with you. So please leave some comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more info. Thank you all for listening. I love you, and let's rise like a phoenix.